Konnichiwa! Recently, I had a few viewers inbox me and ask me what language should they choose. I know, you're like, why are they asking you if they're the ones that have to learn the language? But hold on, it's a valid question because there's so many different languages out there, and I know there are many places, especially in America, where we don't have exposure to other languages. I mean, our family members all speak English. We speak English in our daily lives. We just don't have that exposure or someone pushing us to be bilingual. So it's a valid question because there are so many languages out there. So stick with me and let's look at some important topics and things to think over when you're considering which language to learn. Okay, I'm going to give you a few quick tips and things to really think and mull over when you're looking at languages. Number one, how does it sound to you? How does it sound is important. Some languages just sound like music to your ears. It's just soothing. And there are some languages that just clash. It's like when you choose what music genre you listen to. Something, just noise, right? So we don't want that. Don't choose that language. Choose a language that sounds good to you. For me, I like the way the Japanese sounds, and I'm familiar with it now after listening to hours of Japanese speakers, Japanese TV, Japanese music, and I really enjoy it. But the other day, my husband clicked on a Korean movie by accident, and I was like, whoa, it just clashed. It just didn't sound right. I was like, what is that? That is not Japanese. So pick a language that sounds good to you. Number two, pick a language that sparks joy. What interests you? Because you're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of hours in this language. So what really interests the kids? And when I say interest, I mean really think about, which runs into number three, the culture. The culture of that language is intertwined into it. So when we say culture, culture is art, food, celebrations. It's so intertwined into the language, where these words came from, how these people think, why they act the way they do, their mannerisms. So if you like the culture, then you'll like the language. As you know, we're living in Japan, and they have a festival every 5 minutes. So you got to be ready to learn about those holidays and go to those festivals, realize why they're doing it, maybe not indulge in some of them because of why they're doing it. But, all the same time, it was something I had to consider because I am Christian. So I believe in Jesus Christ. We have one Lord, whereas most of the Japanese believe in spirits and Buddhism, and they make rain puppets to bring the rain. They have Odon, which is in November when they call the ancestors to come visit. So those are part of the culture that I do not want to indulge in, but I do know it exists, and I do tell my children about it because there's nothing wrong with learning about something. We just don't choose to believe in it. So make sure that you look at what's in that culture, because I know a lot of people go to these festivals not knowing what they're actually for and representing. So take that into consideration, and if maybe the Japanese customs and cultures are too much for you, then sending your child to a Japanese school, it's not going to work, because America separates religion in school, and I feel like in Japan they don't. They start teaching the kids things right in pre-K, So that's another thing to consider. And 5, our last tip is, look at the way the language looks, written language, because you're going to have to read stories every day, every night. You might have to write in the language. You definitely have to text in the language. So how does that make you feel? In Japanese, there are over 2,000 kanji. characters. There's 3 alphabets with 46 characters in the other 2. Is that too overwhelming for you? Then maybe try Spanish or another language that is, feels nice for you. If you like calligraphy, Chinese, Arabic, Japanese is really nice because you will probably enjoy writing that language. So look at your lifestyle, look at your children, look at your family, and think these things over. All right, I know I said my last, but I thought of a really good last tip. The last one is, what can you get resources in? Yes, this should have been number 1 because resources are important. Do you have access to books, movies, television shows, play dates? Most importantly, play dates for the kids. Because if they don't have a need for the language, then they're not going to want to speak it. I enjoyed doing homestays while we lived in Texas. So a high school Japanese, I actually had 2 girls, come to my house for a week, and we just showed them around the city, and we spoke English. And although when the homestay students do come, they're supposed to be working on their English, and we speak English to them all day, it was a little uncomfortable for them to stay in English 24/7 for a whole week. So we would divide the day up and maybe have a little Japanese break, which was good for our family and exposure for my children. So let me know if you have any questions, any additional tips, you can post below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week. Jane.